Hi guys, welcome back. Today I will solve questions from SAT practice test number 3, section 3, and let's go to the first question. Question is, a painter will paint n walls with the same size and shape in a building using a specific brand of paint. The fee is given by the expression n times k times l times h. N is the number of walls, k is dollars per square foot, l is the length, h is the height. Question is, if the customer asks the painter to use a more expensive paint, which factor in the expression would change? So the expression is n times k times l times h. So within that expression, which of these 4 factors would change? Alright, so let's go to the solution. So the fee is given by n times k times l times h. Okay, so 4 factors. N is the number of walls. K is dollars per square foot. L is the length of the wall, and H is the height of the wall. Alright, so if now you apply a more expensive paint, this will not change, right? And the number of walls are the same, even if you go to something more expensive in terms of paint. The length does not change. The height of the wall is again a constant, does not change with the cost of paint. So with the cost of paint, the only factor that changes because of this dollar per square foot is that K will change if you go to something more expensive. So the dollars per square foot would be higher for a more expensive paint. So then the answer is C. Alright, let's go on to question number 2. So given 3r equals 18, what is the value of 6r plus 3? Alright, let's go to the solution. So given is 3r equals 18. That's given. And we need to find out 6r plus 3 equals what? Right? So this is what we need to find out. Alright, so given is 3r and we want to go to 6r. So what will 6r be? 6r is double of 3r, so times 2. So 18 times 2 is 36. So now we know 6r is 36. So what is 6r plus 3? So you, on the left side, you add 3 to 6r. So then you need to add 3 to 36. So you get 39. So then the answer is 6r plus 3 equals 39. And the answer is D. Alright, let's move on to question number 3. Question is, which of the following is equal to a to the power 2 over 3 for all values of a? So if you're given 4 choices, A, B, C and D, let's solve for each of these choices to see which one equals a to the power 2/3. Alright, let's go to the solution then. Let's start with the first option of square root of a to the power 1/3. Alright, so this becomes, so you write a to the power 1/3 and then the square root sign becomes to the power half. Right? So then this is of the form a to the power m to the power n. So this becomes a to the power 1/3 times half, which is equal to, you just multiply 1/3 by 1 over 2 and you get a to the power 1 over 6. So now that is not the answer, because the question says which one is equal to a to the power 2/3. Alright, so then let's look at the next one, B, which is square root of a to the power 3. So again you write a to the power 3 as is, and then the square root symbol becomes to the power half, and then this becomes, again you multiply 3 by half and you get a to the power 3 over 2. And the question is asking for a to the power 2 over 3. Right? So again, this is not the correct answer. Alright, let's go on to option number C, which is cube root. So instead of a square root, it's a cube root of a to the power half. So again, you go ahead and write a to the power half, right? And then the symbol of cube root, that becomes 1 over 3, because it's a cube root. And then again you multiply half times 1/3, you get a to the power 1 over 6. So that's the same as option A and is not the right answer. Alright, then let's go on to option D, which is again it's a cube root of A square. So again you write A square first, and then the cube root symbol is replaced by to the power 1/3, right? And then you multiply 2 by 1/3, which gives you 2/3. And that is what the question was asking, which of these four options equals two-thirds, a to the power 2/3. So this is the correct answer. So the answer is D. Alright, let's then move on to question number 4. The number of states that joined the US between 1776 and 1849 is equal to twice the number of states that joined between these dates. And then given if 30 states joined the US between 1776 and 1849 and X states joined between 1850 and 1900, which of the following equations is true? So the first thing to do is, it's a word problem. So whatever statements are given, convert them to an equation. Alright, so let's look at the solution. So the first statement is that the number of states between 1776 to 1849 is equal to twice the number of states between 1850 and 1900. Right, so that's the first statement. So number of states is equal to twice the number of states for this different date range. Right, number of states that joined between this is twice the number of states. So we got that equation down based on this first statement. The second statement says if 30 states joined the US between 1776 and 1849, right? 30 states joined it. So let's go back. So the number of states joining between 1776 to 1849 is given as 30, right? Okay. So we got that down in the equation, and X states joined later, right? X states joined later. Okay. So 30, let's continue that equation, is 2 times. And they're saying number of states that joined between 1850 to 1900 is X. Right? And then the question is, which of the following equations is true? So if you look at the equation that you just wrote down, 30 equals 2 times x, which means 30 equals 2x, right? This is the equation then. So the answer is B. 30 equals 2x, which is answer B. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Question 5. Alright, if 5 over x is equal to 15 over x plus 20, so it's an equation with x as the variable. Question is, what is the value of x over 5? So here you first need to find the value of x and then divide it by 5. Alright, let's do it. So given is 5 over x is equal to 15 divided by x plus 20. Alright, so we don't like things in the denominator like x or x plus 20. So you want to cross multiply. So you cross multiply this way and you cross multiply these two, right? So we get 5 times x plus 20, right, equals 15 times x. So you just cross multiply. That way you bring all the x's from the denominator up into the numerator where you can actually then solve. Alright, so the left side, let's open that out. So that becomes 5 times x plus 5 times 20, which is 100, equal to, bring 15x down. Alright, so now you have 5x on the left and 15x on the right. So I'll just bring 5x to the right. It becomes minus 5x. So I'm left with 10x on the right. And on the left, I still have the 100. Okay, so then x equals 100 over 10, which is 10. And then the question asks you, what is x over 5? Okay, so x over 5 would then be 10 over 5, right, equal to 2. So the answer is 2, which is option C. Alright, let's move on to the next question, which is question 6. Alright, so given 2x minus 3y equals minus 14, that's one equation in x and y. And then the second equation is 3x minus 2y equals minus 6. So you can see that there are two equations. and there are two variables, x and y. So this is a question on simultaneous equations. And then the question says, if x comma y is a solution to the system of equations above, what is the value of x minus y? So typically for simultaneous equations, we solve for x. We solve these two equations, we find out x, and then we find out y. One option is, once we do those two steps, then we could subtract the two and find x minus y. But that's a long solution, because first you have to solve for x, then you solve for y, and then you subtract the two. So an easier solution is, let's do that. So you are given the first equation, which is 2x minus 3y equals minus 14. Alright, next equation is 3x minus 2y equals minus 6. Alright, and so you need to find out x minus y. So looking at these two equations, what if we add these two equations, right? So you then get, because both are in the form x minus y. So let's add these two equations. So you get 2x plus 3x becomes a 5x. Minus stays a minus because you are adding minus 3y minus 2y, that is minus 5y equals, and then you are adding minus 14 minus 6, that is minus 20. Alright, so you see now we have something from which we can find out x minus y without having to solve for x first, then y, and then subtracting the two. So let's continue. So between 5x and 5y, what is common? Common is 5, right? So you can then put a parenthesis and write x minus y. So 5x minus 5y is equal to 5 times x minus y, which is equal to minus 20. So from here then, what is x minus y? It will be minus 20 divided by 5, right? So which is minus 4. So then that's the answer. X minus y is equal to minus 4. So we just went through one step here where we added the two, got 5 times x minus y, and then we come to the solution of what is x minus y. So that's minus 4, and the answer is option C. Alright, let's move on to question number 7, in which you see this table of values of x that are given and values of y which is a function of x. The corresponding values are given. So the function f is defined by a polynomial, and some values of x and fx, the function of x, are shown in the table. Question is, which of the following must be a factor of the polynomial function? A factor of. Alright, so let's go to the solution. Let me just write down the x and the fx values from the question. So given for x equals 0, the value of y equals the function of x is 3. For x equals 2, fx is 1. For x equals 4, fx is 0. And for x equals 5, fx is minus 2. So now for fx, which is a polynomial function, to have factors, you can write the polynomial function in terms of its factors. So if, say fx equals x minus a is one factor, you could have a second factor, x minus b, and you can continue to have factors of the polynomial function fx depending on that function. So now if x minus a is to be a factor of fx, right? So if this is a factor of this function, then for x equal to a, right, this fx will be, for x equal to a, you put a minus a becomes 0. So fx, the function of x, is 0 when x equal to a. So for x minus a to be a factor, when you plug in x equal to a, the function should be 0. So now let's look at the solutions for the different options. So the question is, let's go back to the question. Which of the following must be a factor of fx? X minus 2, x minus 3, x minus 4, x minus 5. So let's look at x minus 2. So if x minus 2 is to be a factor, then for x equal to 2, the value of fx should be 0. That means for x equal to 2, the value of fx should be 0. But it is not 0 in the table for this polynomial. It's 1. So this is not the right answer, because if x minus 2 was to be a factor, then when you plug in x equal to 2, fx should be 0, but it is not. Alright, let's look at the next option, x minus 3. That means for x equal to 3, fx should be 0. But you can see that there is no x equal to 3 under the column for x. There's no value for x equal to 3. So there's no way, so that is not, so 3 is also not a solution. So x minus 3 is not a factor. Alright, let's look at the next one, which is x minus 4 a factor? So for x minus 4 to be a factor, for x equal to 4, y should be 0 or fx should be 0, which it is, right? So for x equal to 4, fx is 0. That means x minus 4 is a factor, right? All right, then let's look at the last option of x minus 5. Is that a factor? Okay, so if x minus 5 is to be a factor, for x equal to 5, fx should be 0, but it is not equal to 0, right? So the only 0 that you see in the column for fx is for x equal to 4. So x minus 4 is a factor. All right, so that's all I wanted to discuss today. The first 7 questions for practice test number 3. The remaining solutions I have solved and put that on my website, which is aspire-testprep.com, and you can click on the tab that says Our SAT Products. You will find them to be very useful. They are short and easy, so check them out. They're not, it's $5 for each of the practice tests. You can check out one of these tests and see if it helps you before you get the other tests. But hopefully these 7 solutions were useful to you. All right, stay tuned and I'll talk to you later. Bye.